guys, I'm Haley Allen, the owner of Lush Beauty Bar Atlanta.
And I'm Joshua Hill, the owner of the Hills Media.
And this is the Bridal Business Podcast.
This podcast is for potential business owners and brides looking to either find out how to start their own bridal business or learn more about bridal businesses in North Georgia and beyond. I'm Joshua Hill. I started the Hills Media back in 2021. And I really started it. I didn't know where I was going to go with it. I just knew that I wanted to do something with photography and the camera. I've always liked taking pictures, but I never really had a professional camera to do that with. So in 2020, I bought a professional camera to take pictures, and I just put it out there and said, hey, if anybody wants free pictures, let me know. I'm just starting to build my portfolio. And then someone who had just recently got engaged that I went to high school with, they reached out to me and said, hey, we need some engagement photos. And I took them, and it was probably the best thing that I've ever done. I had so much fun, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do couples, engagement, and weddings. And then 2 years later, I'm still doing weddings. I pretty much primarily only do weddings and engagements and couples. And yeah, that's how I started.
Fun fact, that's how me and Joshua met. Tell them the story, Joshua. I feel like it's important for you to know this information.
Yeah, so I had booked a session at a farm, so they do photo sessions where you can book it and
Prospect Farms, right?
Yeah, Prospect Farms. And then I was trying to sell mini sessions, and it was when I first started, and nobody was booking them. So I was like, well, I already paid for this, so I might as well just give it away for free and get some content, meet some people. So I ran a giveaway to an engaged couple and said, all the engaged couples can enter this giveaway, and one of y'all will win a free photo session. Hint, 3 people won a free photo session. And Haley was one of them. I found out that she was getting married the next October, which was a year and a half away. And I was like, wow, people really do plan their weddings.
It was July, I think, at this point. No, it was before me and Paul actually got engaged in July. So it was before that, because I was like, we're getting this engagement session. It's for free. We have to go do it. And I had to convince Paul to let me wear my ring early.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like, we have to do this engagement session. It was sunflowers is what it was, and I had won it. Joshua picked me strategically. He did. Don't let him lie to you. He picked me strategically because look at me. But just kidding. And I had to convince Paul to let me wear my ring for the engagement photos because he hadn't proposed yet. But we went to pick it out together. I knew it was coming. Paul cannot plan surprises and me not know about it. If you know anything about us, that is true.
See, I didn't know that.
He didn't even know that, but it's true. Honey, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I told everybody. But yeah, we took our engagement photo shoot before we even got engaged, and that's how me and Joshua met. And as soon as I met Joshua, I knew he was new, but I liked him. I was like, Joshua's a cool guy. And Paul was like, yeah, we should hire him for our wedding. And that's kind of how our relationship started. And me being in the bridal industry as well, we kind of that's where our relationship started. We kind of just started referring each other out to people. And yeah, that's how we met, and now we're besties.
Yeah.
Starting a podcast together.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the podcast got started because I called Joshua one day. Okay, I get these random ideas, and I'm like, who can help me enact my ideas, And I was like, I want to start a podcast, and I had been wanting to start a podcast for years. At first, it was just about girls stuff. I wanted to start just a girls podcast just to talk about stuff. And then I got into the bridal industry, and I was like, you know what, when I started my business, I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I went through, and I was like, I need business advice. I need to know how to start this business, what CRMs to get, how to get bookings, how to run a successful business, And I was like, what if we started a podcast and just like brought on a bunch of people to interview? And that's kind of like where the idea came from. And I called Joshua. I was like, Joshua, I had this idea. And he was like, that's funny you say that because I had the same exact idea. And here we are, starting our podcast.
Yep.
I guess I should talk about my business now.
Yeah, how'd you get started, Haley?
Okay, so I started in the modeling industry when I was 18 years old, 17, 18, and I met a makeup artist on a set of a hair magazine, and I fell in love with her, and I was like, I love this lady. I love the work that she does. Like, I loved the makeup that I had gotten and the makeup she did on all the other girls. And there was a lot of different skin tones and skin types there, and I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but in the makeup industry, there's kind of a issue with the fact that, you know, people with lighter colored skin tones can't do darker color skin tones, and people with darker colored skin tones can't do lighter color skin tones. And being a model, that's just something like you kind of knew about, you know, and I saw how she worked on everybody so just like elegantly, and everybody just looked so good, and I was like, I want to do this. Like, I come to my modeling shoots already ready, but like, imagine if I could get everybody ready, you know? And so I ended up taking one-on-one classes with her. Something else that people I don't think know about the makeup industry is that your options for school are super limited. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 schools that focus just on makeup in every state. There's not a whole lot of schools that focus just on makeup and hair styling. Like, you have to go to hair school and pay all that money to get hair training, a little bit of makeup training, a little bit of nail training. It's a little bit of a lot and not a lot of a little. And I wanted a lot of a little. I just wanted to learn makeup and hairstyling. So I took one-on-one classes with her, and then I just started doing my friends. My first wedding I did in 2000 and a very long time ago. I don't know, I'll get that date later and disclose it at the next podcast. But it was a very long time ago, and looking back like at my work now and my work then, I was not great. But becoming a good makeup artist takes a ton of practice, so that's what I did. I practiced on my friends. I did makeup services for very, very cheap while still working a full-time job. 2 years ago, I quit my full-time job. I was a project coordinating manager at a home automation and low voltage company. Very different than what I do now, but I'm very happy that I did that because I have a lot of like management experience in how to manage my own business and doing that. So now I own Lush Beauty Bar. We have a team of I think 12 women now. We have 3 admins and then a ton of hair and makeup artists, and we specialize in luxury bridal hair and makeup services. And that's me. All right, so I was raised in Loganville, Georgia. I had my first son, Ryan, when I was 18 years old. Fun fact about me that a lot of people don't know is that I didn't graduate high school. I know, right? Nobody would like ever know. I was young and I met a guy and had a baby, and as dumb as it sounds, like I didn't want to walk across the stage pregnant, and like as terrible as that sounds, I don't know, I grew up in a very judgmental town. I felt like everybody, I don't know, we had a couple of other pregnant girls in our grades, and just the way like people were talking about her, I was like, I don't want people to look at me that way. So, you know, if you're from my high school and you're watching this, I didn't graduate, but look at me now.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And then I had my second son, Connor. Ryan is now 8 and Connor is now 5. They're 3 years apart. And, you know, I raised them by myself for a long time. 3 years, actually, after Connor was born, and then a year for Ryan, so about 4 years. I raised my kids by myself. At one point, I was working 3 jobs to afford my 1-bedroom apartment. And I struggled for a really long time. And I met Paul, my husband now, who's literally a saint, like the best guy I've ever known in my entire life. He loves me more than anybody on this planet. Besides maybe my mom. My mom loves me a lot.
She does.
She does. And we live in Loganville. He has a son as well, Sean, who is 10. So we have 3 boys. Pray for us. And yeah, all my kids are in school. and I get to do what I love for work every day. Paul is a mobile tool dealer, kind of like Snap-on, but he's the franchise Thompson Tools. So if you need any tools for your car, he's the guy to call.
Good to know.
But he works Monday through Friday, and then I work on the weekends, so it kind of balances out. During the day when the kids are at school and he's at work, I can come into the office and get like all of our office admin side of stuff done, which is really nice. Then I'll do some bridal trials during the week. And then on the weekends I go and do weddings and he stays home with the kids. The great thing about like being the hair and makeup artist is that you really aren't there all day. Like you're just at the job in the morning time getting the girls ready. And normally I leave, depending on how many services it is, by like noon or around 3 o'clock at the latest. That's if they have like a really late ceremony. I'm staying for touch-ups. So I'm normally home every, weekend night, which is really nice that I'm home every night, Monday through Friday with my family. So it's an ideal job for me. I love it. Yeah, that's about me.
How does it feel being a makeup artist and having 3 sons?
That's a good question. I'm going to ask that a lot. I really want a girl. I will tell you though, there's sometimes like Ryan or Connor will like go into my makeup kit and grab a lipstick. I can't tell you how many times Connor's walked into my room and he'll be like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he has like this red lipstick just all over his mouth. He's like, I'm you, mommy. And I'm like, oh son, you're a drag queen is what you
Oh my goodness.
No, they love my job. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'll come home and I'll be like, look at this awesome bride I did today. Look at this work I did. And they're like, wow, Mom, that looks great, And don't get me wrong, like, they have no credibility at all, right? Like, they're kids. They know nothing about makeup. But something just feels nice
Yeah.
about my son being like, good job, Mom, Yeah, it's difficult sometimes, not gonna lie. Like, sometimes I just wish I had a little girl's hair to do. But in the same breath, let me say this, okay? I chopped all my hair off. And I love having my hair chopped off because I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I don't have a girl, because that would just be another thing to do every day besides my own makeup.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, that was a good question.
So, for me, I was born in Florida, but I was raised in North Georgia, kind of in the Lula, Cleveland area. My dad is a baker. He's been a baker since he was 16 years old, and he is the head baker at one of the only bakeries in Helen, Georgia. So we kind of grew up in that area. He's been there ever since we moved here 21 years ago.
At the fudge shop?
No, it's kind of down the street from the fudge shop.
Mm.
Hofers of Helen. No free advertising. So we kind of grew up in North Georgia, and I grew up around a camera pretty much my whole life. I never used it, but I was always posing in front of it, or at least that's what my mom tells me.
Can you strike a pose for us, Joshua?
I would always
How
do
did you
the
used to
peace
pose
sign.
the peace sign?
I always did the peace sign. That was my go-to.
It's okay, me too, with the duck lips.
Yeah. The peace
Him
sign.
too.
The peace sign was my go-to. So Mom was always taking pictures of all of us. There was always a picture-worthy moment going on. And then I went to high school, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to run a business. So all throughout really elementary, middle, and high school, I was selling something, whether it be candy or Hot Wheels or Pokemon cards, or I opened a coffee shop in my chemistry teacher's room because she was an entrepreneur too. She taught chemistry, but then she also ran her own accounting firm. So then whenever I said like, hey, can I sell coffee in your room? She was like, yeah, entrepreneur, go ahead. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was selling coffee for pretty much everybody in my school. And then I graduated high school, went to college, didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just went into like business management classes and realized that I wasn't learning anything that I thought was necessary. It just seemed like a lot of silly things. I think I took one thing away from college, and it was that whenever like I hire people, it's technically my work, even though they did it. I hired them to do it, so it's still my work. That's the only thing I got out of college. So I dropped out because I wanted to start a business. Didn't know what that business was going to be. Then about a year after that, I ended up getting my camera and starting my photography business. In that time, I met the love of my life, Stephanie.
Oh.
And I met her when I was 18, and we got married when I was 20, and
They have a baby.
now we have a baby. At 22, I have a baby, and yeah.
She's a cutie.
Yeah. And she smiles every time the camera's in front of her, so.
Yeah,
That
Joshua's child. Soon she'll be
Peace sign
throwing
it
up the
up.
peace sign. How do you like being a dad?
It's tough, especially running my business, because I don't have during the week I have the ability for it to be a 9 to 5, but on the weekends it's kind of an all day thing. So I have to get up, pack my camera gear, drive to the wedding, or if I'm staying at a hotel, that's a whole weekend thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to be there for 6 to 12 hours a day, just depending on how long I'm booked for. And then drive home. Usually weddings don't end till 10 or 11. And then if I have even an hour drive home, I don't get home till midnight. So weekends are definitely tough being a dad. But during the week, it's nice because I get to be there for all the moments. I might be working, but they're just in the next room over. So it's nice being able to be there during the week.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You feel like you get more time than the average person with her?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the benefits all of wedding vendors find, because we work mainly on the weekends. Weddings are normally Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. That during the week we get to dedicate more time to family. I really like being home every night. I get my kids off the bus every day at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the occasional weekday wedding. I'll have to get somebody to get them off the bus, so Paul will have to get them off. But to be able to get them off the bus, spend time with them, and then still have time to work during the daytime while they're at school. It's a lot harder before they're in school, I would say.
Yeah.
I remember just gripping my teeth, waiting for them to get into school, and now they're in school. And I'm like, man, sometimes I wish they were home. I could do things with them, and yeah, it'll come soon though. Once she's in school, you're gonna be like, I have all this free time. What am I gonna do with myself?
Yeah, that's
start another business.
I already have too many. That's time management is definitely the biggest thing. Owning your own business and being a father and a husband. And you also have friends and you also have family. Everyone wants your time and is just trying to learn how to balance it all.
There's definitely a big difference right now from when I started my business to now of how much time I get to spend outside of my business, with other people. I mean, I have my dedicated family time, obviously, but if I want to have friend time or go to do something for myself or something, that cuts into either business time or family time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard, balancing when to do everything.
Yeah, definitely. And especially in photography and videography, we have to talk with the clients beforehand, plan everything. We're almost coordinators in reality. We have to coordinate the photo schedule, because the photo schedule is different than just a timeline because of lighting. So we have to plan all of your things before the sun goes down, and especially in the winter, that can be a challenge because the sun goes down at 5:30 instead of 8:30 in the summer.
Yeah.
So we have to plan everything, then we shoot the wedding, and we're there the whole day, and then we have to edit everything. And during the editing, we still have to communicate with all of our other clients, and it's just learning to balance everything for each and every client.
Yeah. Yeah. Photographers definitely have a bigger job than I thought they did before I planned my own wedding or before I got into this industry. Because people think that, they just show up, they take photos and they're done, right? But no, they send you, most of them, the good ones, send you a detailed questionnaire, about specific shots that you want or what time your ceremony is going to be, or because then you have to fit all of those photos that you want into that short timeline. Then you have to decide what you're going to take before the ceremony and what you're going to take after the ceremony. And then you have to decide how much time you want to spend taking photos from the time you get into the reception. So there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like people don't think about when it comes to photographers. And that brings me something that I can't wait to talk about, and that is cost, right? Nothing makes my butt red more than people price shopping for certain things. Like, okay, florals. Okay, I could understand maybe wanting to go buy faux florals or do them yourself or something, but there's always two things that I say you should not cheap out on, and I'm sure you know what they are because I talk about them all the time, and it is photography and hair and makeup. Because at the end of the day, after your wedding, there's going to be two things that you look at. Your photos, okay, all those photos that were taken of you guys, and how you looked. You know what I mean? Like, you'll look at some of the decor and stuff like that, you know. But decor, you can either do it yourself or rent it out from a company or something like that. But your hair and makeup, like, you're going to see that for the rest of your life in your wedding photos. You know what I mean? And then finding a style of wedding photo that you like and running with that, it comes with a cost. You know what I mean? Good photography comes at a cost. They have to have certain equipment. They have to have been doing this for a certain amount of time, taking classes. You know more than I would know about all the stuff that goes into that, but like, those are the two things I always tell people. If you're going to cheap out on anything, do not cheap out on your photographer or your hair and makeup.
Yeah, for me, like, as I've shot more and more weddings, I've realized how important it is to have a good hair and makeup artist, because like we said, as a photographer, our job relies on the sun and it relies on the light. Now, I can bring flashes and I can do all that, but it doesn't look natural. It looks kind of like fake, because it's a fake source of light. Mm-hmm. So I really try to mainly use the sun as my form of light. So we have to fit everything in while the sun's up. And if hair and makeup runs behind even 30 minutes, that means we're cutting into your first look if you're having it. That means we're cutting 30 minutes into your ceremony, which means your ceremony gets pushed 30 minutes farther back, which means photos get pushed 30 minutes farther back, which means we're going to run out of sun, and you're not going to get all of the photos that you want.
Yeah, I had a group of my girls go on site. They were just there for hair that time. They had already hired a makeup artist, and they were done in the amount of time they were supposed to be done, but the makeup people didn't come with a schedule, right? So we made our schedule, and then they just kind of like pulled people we weren't using at the time, which already makes the day stressful, right? They ended up being an hour and 15 minutes behind schedule, and like, that is insane to me. I think the longest we've ever gone over schedule, which it was with a newer employee of mine and other things happened, was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing, but over an hour of time over is a lot. You know, like, you really do. There's a lot of things that go into determining what time we get there, right? And then how long we're going to take per person. That's going to determine how many people I send to your job. And you know, with us, the quality of work that you're going to get, because I do an intense training with my employees. I can't tell you how many makeup artists I see in makeup groups or wedding groups that are like, oh, hey, I need a second hand for my wedding next weekend. Well, is that person going to do the quality of work and the amount of time that you do that those people hired you for?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was in a situation where I was at a wedding and a makeup artist had brought on another person, and she did not do the quality of work that makeup artist did, and the bride was kind of upset about it. You know what I mean? Which she has the right to be. Like, if we pay you to come, we want your quality of work, right? And exactly. I think that's something that I take pride in, is all of my girls get trained the same way. All of my girls can do exactly what I can do. You know what I'm saying? And not a lot of teams can say that. There's a lot more that goes into, I mean, both of ours, but mine than meets the eye, I feel like, on that end, because staying on schedule, being good, and having good quality is hard to come by these days, I feel like, for hair and makeup artists.
Yeah, and then, like, with that, you kind of, especially in photography, you want to hire someone who's done a multitude of weddings, because every wedding's different. So you need someone who's been in similar situations, that it's like, okay, we're behind 20 minutes. Where can we get that 20 minutes back? Okay, we were going to do first looks with this. All right, I'm going to send someone to line up all the people that are going to do first looks, bridesmaids, dad, so that we don't have to waste time setting people up. And just like different scenarios like that. Also, like knowing how to use their camera gear and having the right camera gear for every situation. Like, as a wedding photographer, you kind of have to think on your feet a lot, and you don't know what you're walking into every time. Even if you've shot at that wedding venue, the lighting could be different, because the first time you shot there it was cloudy and the lighting was perfect everywhere, and then this time it's bright and sunny and the lighting's only perfect in certain places. So you kind of have to have someone that's really experienced and knows what they're doing and knows how to handle different situations.
And I think for photographers starting out, it's really important to work with those type of people for a really long time to learn from them before you start on your own.
Yeah.
Did you do anything like that starting out?
No.
No?
I started on my own, shooting photo and video, but I did it for people who weren't originally going to even book a photographer or videographer. So it was kind of like, oh, great, someone's going to be there taking photos, but I have no expectations for it. And I was really lucky in finding quite a few of those people towards the beginning. I know a lot of photographers have a tough time trying to like break into the market, where like for me, I ran a giveaway and then met you. I think you were like my third or fourth booking. And you booked me like a year and a half in advance. So I had a year and a half to get all the experience before your wedding. But I had a lot of people who, they were just planning, they had originally planned to just elope, like go to a courthouse. And then someone in their family was like, no, we're going to throw you even if it's a small wedding with just the family. And that first wedding got me probably 2 or 3 more weddings. And I gained experience in my first 4 months. I shot 5 weddings, which not a lot of people do that. And then...
How did you feel like you gained your knowledge for it, just watching videos and podcasts?
Yeah, so I definitely watched a lot of YouTube videos, a few photographers, Taylor Jackson, Jai Long, and John Branch for photography. They were kind of like the people who taught me the basics. And they didn't teach me how to use my camera, so I would just practice by myself how to use my camera, like go inside and see like, okay, how do I use this flash on my camera, and then go outside. Okay, if I go from inside to outside, I have to change all these settings. And I just used, I just went day by day, just learning how to use my camera, how to switch settings faster, and just learning different lighting situations, where to put people when the sun is here, where to put the sun, if it's low, if it's high, just practicing and using like my dog and my wife and things like that as my subjects, so I can learn how lighting works.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Bridal Business Podcast.
On next week's episode, we're going to be talking to a couple of wedding photographers like Joshua here about their businesses, how they started their businesses, what they feel like makes their businesses different than other people's and makes them successful. And yeah, we're going to talk about that next time.
All right, and if you're interested in finding out more about hair and makeup services or photography and videography services, you can find our links down in the description, and please subscribe. Thanks.
Bye.